Good morning, Village. Happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers and grandmothers. As it's already been said so well, this is a mixed day for some. I remember my grandmother, my dad's mom, had 15. I think I've said before, people always say Roman Catholic, and I say no, Northeast Arkansas. One of 15, or my dad was the 11th of 15, but my Mother's Day were always difficult for her because she celebrated all of her children, and of course, having 15 over the course of her long life, she laid to rest 5, always speaking of how terribly unnatural that was, that she would have done that. So in many ways, this can be a mixed bag. I'm going to tell some stories today because I thought maybe it would be appropriate. I tell the story, a bit of the story of my mom today, not from a narcissistic position that my mom is the best mom that ever were, no matter how romantically we all would probably say that, or many of us would say that, or because her story is in any way exceptional. It's the exact opposite of that. I tell the story today because as exceptional as I think she is, her story is not exceptional. She was a 16-year-old girl that married a 19-year-old boy. They fell in love at 11 and 13. She married him, and by the time she was 18, had my older brother. By the time she was 20, had me. By the time 24, had a third child, and by the time she was 27, she was the PTA president at the little elementary school. She was a different sort of 27-year-old than maybe I'm used to. She was an incredible woman, dropped out of high school because her senior year, she was 2 years married to my dad by her senior year, and neither of them liked all the boys that was flirting with her. So that was her excuse to drop out. When I was graduating high school, she had always lamented since I was a small child that she wished she would have finished school and even gone to college. She was scared to death to take the GED because she didn't think that she could pass it. She was an incredibly strong woman in so many ways, but had so many misgivings about herself. I come from a very rural world. My dad was one of 15. He was the only one of the 15 to even get a high school degree. So wonderful people, intelligent people with little access. I started the college and somehow was an inspiration to Mom, and she decided that she would try her hand at the GED, and she made it. And we got all the same classes and drove to Arkansas State University together. She thought that she was an embarrassment to me. Little did she know, she was my greatest pride. I pulled right up in front every day, happy to get out with my mom and take classes together. I was exceptionally happy to take classes with her because I was really happy to take classes with her because I didn't have to go to class because she took copious notes. So I sent her to class many times and used her notes. She graduated cum laude and in her mid-40s embarked on a career as a teacher. Spent 20 to 25 years as a decorated teacher in Northeast Arkansas. Her last semester of teaching her 5-year-olds, this decorated teacher of the year, many years, mentor to so many, began having trouble remembering their names. She tried, oh how she tried. The assistants that worked with her, who just worshiped her, her principal, assistant principal, they all tried to cobble together that last semester. But cruel indignity to cruel indignity, my mom had to retire early and miss the last semester of her last class. She and Dad had previously gone on a cruise. They'd never been on a cruise, but they went on a cruise around Hawaii, and they noticed things weren't just right. At 65 years old, my mom began a long, slow descent into dementia. Little by little, she began to lose memories near her. Ones afar were still remaining. Neil, if you would show that first picture. This was about the time, I think this was October of 2020, of just 2 years ago. She was 72 years old. She was in her 7th year of dementia. But this was about the time that I realized at 52 years old, this is what people do. You get to that stage of life, you turn around twice, and your middle-aged parents are older and failing. And I was living in Seattle most of the time, and I knew that I had to come home. And in October of 2020, we moved my mom and dad back to Paragould, Arkansas, a place my family has lived for over 100 years on both sides. And since then, October 2020, I've been going home now every week, generally without fail, 2 days a week. It's just 3 hours and 45 minutes from where I live in Nashville. Every week I drive that expanse and I spend a couple of days to be with her, but mostly to give my dad encouragement. 90% of people in her condition would have been put somewhere, but these two have been together for 60 years. And so in the economy of his diligence, dutifulness, love, and guilt, he is resisting at all cost to keep her at home. There was a song sung by the old country group Shenandoah. Marty Rabin, the lead singer, I can hear him sing it. The song was called I Want to Be Loved Like That. And my siblings and I are cousins. I'm one of 44 first cousins. And I heard one of them, the eldest of the cousins, as my dad a couple of days ago was wrestling with the guilt because just this week it's getting to the point where it's in mom's best interest to now be moved into a home. Dad has decided he'll sell the house and get a camper because he said there's no use to really keep a home because he'll just camp out there in the parking lot and wake up in the morning and be there with her. My cousin said, Uncle Steve, whatever you feel and whatever you want to do is fine, but don't do anything out of guilt because you and Shirley have had what all of us have been looking for our whole lives. To Marty Rabin's song, the wonderful song, I Want to Be Loved Like That. So in October 16th, 2020, I made my first post about mom, and I didn't want to be voyeuristic. I didn't want to disclose too much, but I thought she's such a beautiful woman that I would just share a little. And this was the first picture I posted, and I wrote that day, I'm sitting this morning at the bay window in the breakfast nook of my parents' new to them home. After 25 years away, they have moved back to our hometown of Paragould, Arkansas. The hope is this will be their final move. A fine and reasonable prayer for sure. Sitting here at the nook, Mom just wisely explained, we have come back home before we go home. Before we go home. Indeed, Mom. For 8 years now, dementia has slowly but unremittingly eroded my mother's capacity to remember. Not the distant decades gone by, but the minutes, even seconds, most immediate. Not memories embedded in the marrow of her soul, but the breakfast in her stomach eaten only moments ago. For the past 9 days, I have shown her her new home for the first time at least 100 times. Of course, as has always been the way with her, she is sweetly grateful with each introduction. And between each of these lovely and loathsome introductions, she and I are singing old songs, sacred hymns and crooner standards, because he lives and I get along without you very well. Every verse, every word, the ones I misplace, she fills in with alto and smile. And as I sit with her, I'm reminded of the ancient psalmist, King David's words, Thy word, O Lord, have I hid in my heart. Ah, those comforting words in my heart. My mother is proving them before my very eyes as she sings the lyrics without fail, proving the heart is a place far and mercifully deeper than the brain, than frontal lobes and cerebral cortexes. And I also this morning, as I sit here with her, remember the words of a modern psalmist, Tom Waits, words my dad could have written for sure. And as I think about Waite's words, I realize my dad is in his own way writing them even now as he brings Mom back to this, her home before home. Tom Waits wrote, "In a land there's a town, and in that town there's a house. And in that house there's a woman. And in that woman there's a heart I love. I'm going to take it with me when I go." A few weeks later, Mom and I sat, and I took this picture. The angst on her face was probably on the heels of forgetting exactly who I was. I wrote that day, not infrequently, in mid-conversation, Mom will stammer her way to a frustrated silence. Often that silence will be interrupted and then punctuated with, "I'm so sorry." Sometimes I just lose my words. They disappear on me. Cruel, cruel disappearance. At my last visit, one of her frustrated refrains was followed by an explanation. She looked at me through tears and said, "It's still here," tapping her heart. "I just can't find it here," placing 3 fingers diagonally across her mouth. In those moments, I'm careful to not selfishly seek my own relief. I'm learning not to rush in, providing her the missing words only for her to lose them all over again. Instead, I'm learning to sit with her. I'm learning to sit with this one who conceived, carried, labored, bore, nursed, and weaned me in so many, many ways. I sit at the border of her person, her soul, her identity, her dignity. I dare not be a foolish son rushing in to fix the unfixable, all the while only trampling her tender experience. No, this is Mom's journey. And though 1,000,000 pounds press on her strong shoulders, I, with all my might, if I mustered it, can scarcely relieve her of only a few ounces. But that is okay. Not okay as in fine or easy, but okay as in trust and serenity. Okay because I know ultimately it is not relief she expects from me. It is companionship, recognition, witness, someone who cares, someone who is willing to endure the stammering just as she endured the diapers, someone to abide the silence, someone to sit in the suffering. So I'm learning this lesson from her, one more in a long line and lifetime of lessons. Instead of providing the truantly elusive words she has cruelly lost, I tend to the place she symbolically tapped at her chest. I tend to her heart. Her brain is left to the experts. And we do this together, mother and child. We do this with song and silence, poems and pictures, funny squirrels outside the window and tasty biscuits. And there are times as we do this, she is able to finally find the words. But even when she doesn't, she remembers the moments past, the ones that have built and now compose her life. And even as those things are lost to her memory, they remain inside of her like a meal long forgotten, sustaining and sinewy, holding her soul together through though long since lost to the mind. Oh, what a Christ-making universe this is. Oh, what a soul-making world in which we live. The next picture, again, the frustration of that day. She has shared herself her entire life. This woman has shared herself with her family, her friends, her dogs, her students, her neighbors, with strays, ne'er-do-wells, and suffering folk. And with her enemies, that is, if she would have ever had one. So now it's not strange that she continues to share. Before almost every one of these posts, excluding this one, I show her what I've prepared and I ask for her permission. She touches her unkempt hair and whispers, "It's okay." Though she doesn't remember my request or her agreement within the minute, she is clear in the moment and always says yes. Of course she does. You see, she understands. She understands we share our stories to remind one another we are not alone. We share our stories to lean on and into one another more closely. Because if ever she has known how important it is to not be alone, it's now, in these long, monotonously scary days and nights, and she understands there really are few, very few, if any, temptations or tests or circumstances exclusive only to her. She understands she is sharing now what many before her have shared. She understands we truly do share these experiences, these hard things together, whether we want to or not, whether we are willing to acknowledge and admit this or not. Courageous love shares. So I asked my mom, could I share this, Mom? And she whispers, yes. On each post, people embarrass me by telling me I'm a good son. I don't feel like I'm a good son. I feel like I'm a son, and this is what sons do, especially sons raised by this woman. If you'll show the next picture. That's my mom on the left, taken 10 years, 12 years ago now. That picture was taken 2 years before my mom began her descent into dementia. She's holding her mother, who was 2 months shy of 18 when she had my mom. So they're only 17 years and 10 months apart. They look just alike. This was when grandmother's journey with dementia was nearing the end, a journey that lasted 17 years. Mom knows and has always known exactly what this looks like. And now that it's Mom's turn to face the darkness, I know exactly how to hold her because she showed me again and again and again. The next picture shows you another fella in this. That's my dad. She walked down the aisle of Revival Center United Pentecostal Church when she was 11 years old, and he was sitting beside Diane Wyman. He looked over at Diane Wyman and looked at that doe-eyed girl walking down the center aisle. They said that she was from Lake City Church. He looked back at Diane and scooted to the end of the pew and in the direction of my mother, which is the direction he's always been going. On this particular day, after a few months of posting, I came around the corner and I heard him say to her, "You're way too pretty to go out with your hair not fixed." The next picture shows, we don't take him on our drives. We say he ruins our drives. He always bumps me to the back seat, and that's what Mom always does with her hands. She has forgotten everything, but she has not forgotten him. There's one other person, I say, in the mix of this. If you'll show the next picture, this is one of the most important people. Dogs are a divine gift, and that little one has been hers. They got that puppy 1 month before Mom began her journey with dementia, and to tell the stories of the divine gift of love that have been shared between Mom and that dog that has the worst breath in the history of all dogs. And then a final picture taken just a few days ago. She's really fading now. She's losing weight because she doesn't remember to eat. When I'm there, I always take her a Hardee's ham and cheese and a Dairy Queen double cheeseburger and a dilly bar. But even at that, she has to be reminded. This picture was snapped because that's exactly who she is. That's always who she's been. She's the most incredibly consistent person I've ever known. But I snapped that picture. I said, "Mom, I'm going to be telling your story and sharing your story with some folks. It'll be a real blessing. Would you tell them hi?" And that's her telling all of you hi. I didn't know that I was going to share these videos, but on November 9th, 2020, Neil, if you'll cue the first one, and I'm just gonna sit over here to the side because this Mother's Day can be taught a lot better by Mom in these little videos than by me. November 9th, 2020, do you have it, Neil?
How does that song go?
So many places of beauty I've longed to see here below, but time and treasure has kept me from making my plans to go. But Granddad would say. But come that glorious morning, together we'll surely be, and you can stroll over heaven with me now. I want to stroll over heaven with you some sweet day, when all my troubles and heartaches have all passed away, and we'll enjoy all the beauty where all things are new. I want to stroll over heaven with you.
I totally agree.
The next video, we were on a drive somewhere between Manila and Leachville, Arkansas, big metropolises over in northeast Arkansas. And the beauty of her motherhood, the beauty of her person shone through in the midst of something that was really heartbreaking for me. She reached over and she patted my hand and she said, "I'd be your mom if you'd let me." Instead of immediately responding, "Well, you are my mom," it occurred to me, she has forgotten I'm her son, but she's still so much herself, this woman who's been taking in strays and vagabonds and ne'er-do-wells her whole life, that she knows I am someone who's lost my mother somehow, some way. And she's offering to be my mom. And I thought, in the midst of the sadness, I finally got to experience her the way the rest of the world has been experiencing her all of her life. There was no biological mandate, no necessity. She was just in her goodness offering to be an orphan's mom. As I gathered that about me, I looked at her as we were driving, and you'll see in just a moment. I looked at her and I said, "I'd like that. I could really use one these days." She reached over and patted my hand and said, "I could tell. You got it, buddy." So, this is her mom and dad's favorite song.
To search for his sheep, and all through the night, o'er the rocky steep, he searched till he found him. With love bands he bound him, and I was that one lost sheep.
I sound like my mother.
You do sound like your mother. All right, second verse.
There,
In between.
the night,
There in the night, he heard a faint cry from that lost sheep, just ready to die. Then in his arms, shield from the cold, he brought that lost sheep safe back to the fold. Sing it. The shepherd went out to search for his sheep, and all through the night, o'er the rocky steep, he searched till he found him. With love bands he bound him, and I was that one lost sheep. Haven't we all been that lost sheep before?
at some point in our life,
before salvation came, we were all the lost sheep.
Your eyes are leaking.
I know.
December 31st, 2020. When I'm at my folks' home each week, it's not uncommon to hear the piano playing. This is 17 months ago. To hear the piano playing at the back of the house. 2 days ago, I walked down the hall and stood in the doorway and saw this. After she finished, she smiled and told me she tries to sit down at the piano at least once a day. She said it calms her, makes her feel more peaceful. She was the church organist for 35 years. We talked together about how Saul used to call for the young David to play the harp for him. When the beleaguered monarch was troubled in his soul, the youthful shepherd boy's harp would still the troubled mental state of the old king. Mom smiled and said that the piano does just that for her.
Save for the 90.
Progression. 1 year to the day. 1 year to the day later.
Do I?
Know how to play the piano?
I know how to play the piano.
Give it to me.
Okay.
You got it. You're just rusty. You haven't done it in a while. You're just picking your way back through.
The flower fades. A few months after that, we were driving, and I don't know how many of you remember the group, the Rambos, Buck and Dottie Rambo and Rebo Rambo. Mom loves to sing their songs. Their songs have meant a lot. Buck Rambo actually was a dear friend of Mom and Dad's in the last years of his life, and a dear friend of mine, but this is Mom and I. Just a few more of these little videos. This is Mom.
You and I sang one of the Rambo's songs last week. Sheltered in the arms of God.
Soon I shall hear the call from heaven's portal. Come home, my child. It's the last mile you must run. I fall asleep. That just makes chill bumps go all over me. And wake in God's new heaven. There, what?
Sheltered safe.
They're sheltered safe within the arms of God.
That's the second verse. I forgot that verse.
So let the storms rage high. The dark clouds rise, they don't worry me, for you sheltered safe.
You feel sheltered safe in the arms of God?
Do I? Oh my goodness, yes. I do. Do you?
I do.
I just, you know,
What's that feel like?
you know what? I have peace in my heart. And there's nothing that can take it away from me.
In spite of circumstances,
In spite of circumstances,
memory loss,
that's already happened.
through it all.
Well, I've been a lot of places, and I've seen a lot of faces. There's been times when I didn't know right from wrong. But in my lonely hours, those precious lonely hours, oh dear.
Peace. You don't get that from the outside, do you?
No. You can't get that from the outside. That, you just can't get it from the outside.
The next little clip proves that Mom was raised Pentecostal.
And so kind and tender, they're leading me in paths that I must trod. I fall asleep. Oh goodness, it's all over me. And wake in God's new heaven.
Did you hear what she said? She said, "Oh goodness, that gets all over me." Apologies to all you Baptists. I hope it gets all over y'all too, but there's a lot of those moments where she gets the Holy Ghost driving down the road. Just a couple of more. This is the next one is one of my favorite moments in all of this.
Look at there. That's a pretty girl right there.
Oh yeah, look at her. Don't make me laugh. My day's gone. All I can do is make people love me.
By being sweet.
Yes.
You can't wild them with your looks anymore?
No.
Oh.
Well, just look at me.
You walked out of the room the other night and Pop, your husband, my dad, he said, you know, she never has worn a lot of makeup because she doesn't have to. He says she's just pretty with makeup, without makeup, she's just pretty. He looked at me and he said, don't you think so?
Oh.
And I said, nope, I don't think no.
when I was a little girl, this is where I came for action.
Roy's beer joint.
First and last chance.
Roy's first chance was where you came for action.
That's right.
I don't believe that's true.
Well, it may not be true for me, but that's what it was called.
Have you ever had a drink of beer?
Never.
Have you ever had a drink of wine?
Never.
Drink of whiskey?
Never.
You've never had a drop of alcohol?
Thank God for small pleasures.
Well, you just went through 2 or 3 bottles of NyQuil every month.
No, I really didn't.
I know.
I really didn't.
You was like that old boy that didn't drink, but every night he had a little bit of a cold, so he drank half a bottle of NyQuil.
Looky there, what's that? Oh wait, is that the station?
That's our new community center, Parago's new community center.
Where?
Back there.
Oh, that is?
Yeah.
What in the world is it?
Oh, I know what you're saying, Gigi. Yeah, that's a new hotel back there. Hotel. Not hotel.
Hotel?
You gotta know how to say it. Hotel.
Hotel.
Do you say hotel or hotel?
Hotel. Oh, shut up. I will slap your jaw. Tell you what.
Hotel.
Look at me, the elderly woman I am.
Okay, for time's sake, Neil, we've got to skip down. Oh my, which one? There's so many. Skip down, Neil, to the second to the last, without him, which is a month ago, and we'll just do these last couple. This shows you really where she is. The flower fades, but the beauty remains. Without him a month ago. Can you?
Without him,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I can do nothing. Without him, I would but fail. Without him, I would be drifting like a ship without a sail. Sing Jesus. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Do you know him today? Please don't turn him away. Oh, Jesus. Precious Jesus. Without him, how lost I would be. You know what? We should get a bus and take that on the road.
And the last one, she is now spending most of her time in bed. So we've moved from the car to the breakfast nook. Now I'm just sitting beside the bed with Gaither music in the background. And this is a lovely picture of her.
It's so sweet
To trust in Jesus, just to what?
take
Take him at
his word.
just to know that
Thou art with me, will be with me till the end.
Jesus, Jesus, how I love him, how I prove him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for friend to
How about this verse? I'm so glad I've learned to trust him. Precious Jesus, Savior, friend. And I know that thou art with me, will be with me till the end. What you thinking? You tired?
Yes, I am.
We've had a busy day, haven't we?
Uh-huh.
Scarcely could there be a greater honor than to help her find sleep. This one who carried me, bore me, rocked me, encouraged me, taught me, championed me, comforted me, this one to whom I could always come home, she who forever and always held a bed beneath her roof open for me. Happy Mother's Day to Mom. There is little wonder I ended up in the caring arts. There's little wonder I ended up a pastor. There's little wonder that I ended up working on behalf of the marginalized. What she put into me my whole life could result in nothing else. So, to all the mothers and grandmothers, the women, those who biologically bore children, those who mothered other people's children, to the spirit of maternity, to that which Paul called the heart of the church, the mother of us all, to be able to train up children in the way they should go, to be able to invest faith and love in one another. My mother is exceptional and yet not the exception, because I'm looking at people who have done and will do the exact same. So on this Mother's Day, here at the Village, to everybody church, happy Mother's Day. Because this is what makes the world go round, and when wars and skirmishes and rumors of wars are ended, love will remain. I am thankful for a faith that is passed on through the love and the commitment and the beauty of people just like my mom. So, to all of you, happy, happy, happy Mother's Day. Thank you for letting me share a little bit of Mom with you guys. Amen.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear.
I've been here.
We were having a sacred moment, and you just took it down. Mercy. And now, from now on, when I sing that, that's all I'm going to hear, and the voice I hear falling on my rear. Thanks a lot, Jeez. You just ruined one of my favorite songs.